Hi, my name is Madeline, and I'm working on becoming a teacher in the elementary education program. So I figured that it'd be really helpful if I could kind of chronicle my journey and share what my lesson plans are, share how I'm doing things, and then that kind of gives an opportunity for future employers to know more about me and to hopefully share some ideas with the other teachers or other students who are working towards becoming teachers. I'll be starting off as a drama teacher at an IB elementary school. And the way that their schedule works is that they get something called Wondrous Wednesdays once a week, and they offer some special classes that are a little bit different from their usual art, PE, music, technology library that they get during the other days of the week. The schedule also means that I will be getting a new class for each grade every 4 weeks. So I'm going to be splitting this up and starting over every 4 weeks, I'll reintroduce something kind of like this video where I'll go over exactly what we're going to be doing for those next 4 weeks, what my goals are for each grade, and some different ways of handling class behavior as I evolve as a teacher. We'll be starting off with getting to know each other in the classroom. Now, I worked with most of these students before in the past. I was a substitute teacher. I worked with an after schools enrichment activity and really got to know most of these kids, but there will be still some new faces. So we'll start by all saying our names and we'll go around and we'll also share with each other one goal that we have for our 4 weeks together. So I'm going to try to make them have something that's more drama related. On to introducing my expectations for the class. We're going to be structuring each class section into what I'm going to be calling the 3 things. So I'll have a whiteboard and I'll write down the 3 things that we're going to be accomplishing in that class period. I'm going to be using this first day as an example. Our 3 things are going to be introduction, expectations, and getting started. So those are 3 things that when we've completed those, we know that we've completed class, we know that we can move on to something new, and we know that we were successful. So because there will be around a week between when I see them and when I see them next, and some of these kids are as young as 5, and I also decided that we need a way of remembering what we did the week before. So I went ahead and created these little poster board things. I just used poster board and Sharpie and then decided to laminate them, mostly because I like using the laminator, but also so that I can reuse them from class to class and over the 4 weeks for the whole year. So each grade has one, and we'll be using them at the end of every class and then looking back at them at the beginning of the next class. Then we'll start talking a little bit about some behavior management. So I made a little behavior chart that I'm sure will be pretty familiar to most of you. It's nothing super new and innovative, but it's just going to be a little clip chart. So they've got a star, which means something amazing. We'll talk about what they get if they get up to a purple star. We've got a green smiley face, which is like, wow, you did something really awesome. Everybody will start out on blue. If you do something that's not so great, you go down to yellow. And if you do something again that's not so great, or if you do something that's a little bit more serious, then you'll go down to stop and think, where you will have to stop and think. So let's talk a little bit about what these look like. Let's start off with talking about our purple glittery star up here. So if you get to clip all the way up to a purple star, that means that you've done something particularly amazing. So that'd be something like you didn't just invite a new friend to play once, you invited multiple new friends to play. Purple star is going to be something that it's kind of difficult to achieve. So if they do get up to the purple star, then they'll get to choose a small game that we can play, like around 5 to 10 minutes, the next class. And then I'm also going to have a little stack of note cards that I'll have a little message written out, and I can include the child's name, the activity that they did that made them particularly awesome, and then their teachers and parents will get a copy of that, and that'll be a little extra like, wow, you did a really good job today. Let's let everybody know how awesome you are. On the flip side of that, if a child does something repeatedly that is dangerous, unsafe, disrespectful, anything like that, and they do it multiple times, twice, or if it's something that's really severe, but not really severe enough to go to the principal's office, if that makes sense. So things like physical contact and like direct bullying, those will go immediately to the principal's office. But other things like disrupting class or not wanting to play with somebody or accidentally hurting somebody's feelings when you should have just really been thinking more about what you were saying, doing things like that multiple times will get you down to the big red stop sign. And when you get to this big red stop sign, you'll be asked to stop and think. So when you are asked to stop and think, you will have to be removed from whatever activity we're doing and given a moment, probably 5 minutes or so, to calm down and think about what you did and why you did it and how you can fix that behavior. Then the student and I will sit down and we'll talk and we'll discuss what their consequence should be. Because their consequence isn't really having to stop and think, they're stopping and thinking so that they can determine what their consequence is. So regardless of what they choose their consequence to be, a part of it will involve writing a letter of apology to whoever was most directly affected by their negative behavior. So after we talk about behavior, we'll get to move on to a little bit more fun stuff. We'll talk about what they want from me. This is something that I find is really important. It has really changed the way that I teach and changed the way that I make my lesson plans depending on the group of kids. Then I'll introduce what their goal is from a content perspective from me. So for this first 4 weeks, I'm going to have their content be directly correlated to the school's mission statement. So this school's mission statement, which I am going to read directly so that I don't mess it up, at this school, we strive to develop young people who will create a more peaceful world through respect and intercultural understanding. So because what we'll be doing will be directly related to the mission statement, my goal is to really talk about the intercultural understanding and what it means to be understanding and accepting of the people around you. So for kindergarten and first grade, we will be reading The Tooth Fairy Meets El Raton Perez. Something I really like about this book is that it is written in both English and there is also some Spanish. And it's basically just the story of the Tooth Fairy and El Raton both trying to go to get a little boy's teeth because El Raton had gotten the teeth of all of the little boy's ancestors, his parents, his grandparents, everybody in his family. And the Tooth Fairy was like, well, now he lives here. Now he lives in America. And so I'm collecting his tooth. And in the end, they both collect his tooth and they both use it for their, goals. So I think it's really a cute story about how multiple cultures can not only exist, but also combine. We have a lot of kids who are Mexican American in this school, and so I think that this will be something that's kind of nice for them to hear and nice for them to experience. It'll give them a little bit more a sense of who they are and how it's okay if you are both. So for this first week and all of the first weeks after this, I will just start off by reading that book and letting them listen. And then we'll start talking about, okay, who's going to be who, and more than likely it'll probably switch up a little bit from week to week so that every kid gets a chance to be at least most of the characters. So the second and third graders will be doing the little opening play from Zootopia, where it's Judy talking about how predator and prey didn't used to get along, and now they do, and they can be anyone they want to be, and they can understand each other, and things like that. And obviously, as I was watching it, there's only 4 characters really in that little opening scene, so I'm going to add some more characters in. For the 4th and 5th graders, we're going to do something pretty similar to what we're doing with the 2nd and 3rd graders, but we're going to make it a little bit longer. So I've been working on cutting down Zootopia to be, I'm going to go for around 10 minutes. And we're going to be focusing on just one point and purpose of Zootopia, and that point and purpose is going to be discrimination. So for step 3, getting started for those groups, then for 2nd and 3rd grade, we're just going to watch that original Zootopia clip, and I'm going to kind of prompt them to create their own characters for it. For 4th and 5th grade, however, we're going to actually start determining our roles. I'll have a prepared list of all of the roles, and we'll start deciding who's going to be who, and I think that'll also give them kind of a pretty good opportunity to explore what they know about their fellow classmates, because this will be starting, I think, the second week of school. Alright, well, that's all I've got for you today. I look forward to actually getting to teach this and to actually follow through with this lesson plan. You can check out my website, which has an actual hard copy of the lesson plans and the materials that I have shown you, and then I'll also put a link to this book, its author, give all the credit, below. Alright, I'll see you next week. Bye!